This video is a demonstration on how to draw a simple landscape. And I have 3 images here that I printed out black and white. And I would suggest you print out your chosen landscape and print it out black and white if you have a printer. If you don't have a printer, you can look at it from your cell phone. That's okay. But I think it helps to print it out and remove color, because the color can be distracting in seeing the different lights and darks and middle grays. So I have 3 printouts here, and these will be available to you in the assignment page. And if you'd like, you can choose one of these to draw from, to try to draw. And I'm looking through here. I got one. This is doable. It's not super complex. I purposely chose landscapes with a field, so it's not just covered with leaves and trees all over the place. So some simple empty areas are good with some detail. This one is not bad at all. I kind of like it that it's kind of fuzzy and not so detailed. And here's a horizontal, a flat area with some foreground, middle ground, background, elements of trees, fields, up close and far away, and a variety of values. So for today, I'm going to choose this one right here. I like the grays, the contrast of darks to lights, and I like the overall complexity of the top zone, the middle zone, and the bottom zone right here. And before you start, my goal is to draw the details of the shapes and forms and shade it in accordingly, trying to match the original basic lights and darks and the grays. And early in the class, you guys drew a scale, a simple light-dark scale. And I pulled mine out here, and this is really good as reference. So for the highlight areas, you can compare and contrast to match those values. And you're building up your sensitivity to lights and darks, shading. So notice how the different grays within this composition corresponds to your experience in shading in and blending in those lights and darks and controlling the temperature, the lights and darks. And that's going to really help you improve upon your drawing skills, is to be able to be sensitive to that and notice the different varying lights and darks and feeling comfortable in shading those in. Before I begin drawing, I want to show you also, if I take this piece of paper, I can just crease it vertically and horizontally into 4 quarters. I could draw a light line here. And this shows me I can break this composition down into 1 section, 2nd section, 3rd section, 4th section. And by doing that, I can study the placement of the tree, the basic composition, the arrangement of basic shapes and forms, that diagonal hill there. So I can take something that's kind of complex and simplify it. And before I even draw, just take some time to study what you're looking at. If I fold the paper into those 4 sections, there you go, look at that. For some of you, this is a good study. You might want to study each one of these by themselves in its 4 corresponding areas. And then, actually, let's try that. Let's give that a try. Going to fold my drawing paper into 4 sections. So this is bottom left, top left. This is top right. This is top bottom here. So on this composition, let's start off with bottom left. I'm going to try to fill in this space with this section right here. See this angle of this hill? I'm going to angle my pencil. See the different angles? I'm going to match it up to the hill and just bring it down. So I'm trying to mimic the basic shapes and forms. There's a little light space right there, a little light space right there. And then the tree trunk. There you go. So we're trying to break this down into its basic simple elements. Okay, and I'm going to start off with the light areas. Just start light grays. Light grays right there. There's a little bit of a triangular shadow area right there. That's light gray. This area is a little bit darker than this area, so I'm going to go back in, different angle, put another layer of graphite on top of that area. Above that, you see these little dark areas. And these are darker than this area, so we're going to make those, put several layers. You don't have to get too fancy or cute at this stage. Just blocking in big areas of lights and darks. So where it's darker, you just want to put more layers. I wouldn't necessarily press harder, I just put more layers of graphite. I'm going to change the angle of my pencil to get different textures of the grass in the field. And just draw what you see. This whole area down here is pretty dark, so I want to mark out where I want to make sure it's light. It's that whole area right there that's pretty light. Start off with that area, just very light gray. Light gray, light gray. Blocking in big shapes, big areas. So you're building up the lights and darks, starting off the lights, and you're progressively getting darker and darker. So I'm going to try to stay away from these areas right here that I marked off as blocking in big areas, so lights and darks. So this dark area, is that a number 5? Yeah, it's number 5. See how much darker I need to go to match that value, that light and dark. Okay, got my base layer there. I'm going to add a light gray, and there's kind of a texture of the grass moving in this direction. Now I'm going to go back in and put another layer. Another layer right there. This whole area right there. Another layer of graphite. That tree trunk is darker towards the center. I'm not doing any blending at this point. Might add a little bit of blending towards the end, but I want to just work on texture with the pencil. I'll be right back. Yo, boy, I'm working on a video. I need to copy later, okay? So a brief now. All right, I'm back. So progressively getting darker and darker, and the direction of your pencil can emulate the grass, the bent grass. But my major goal here is to make sure that the proportion of the basic shape of this design is correct, and to match the values, the lights and darks. If you go a little bit too dark, it's okay, because you can use an eraser later on. Where's the brightest area within this scene? It's right there on that ridge. See that right there? That's the lightest area. We're going to maintain that light area right there. Okay, so I want to show you next is, you see that highlight area right there? Why does that stand out so much? Because the surrounding areas are so dark. The tree is dark, the shadow area is dark. But notice on beyond this highlight, the hills over here farther away, it's darker around that edge. You see that dark gray right there? That's important to show that this is lighter. Okay, so I'm going to go and define those areas, you know, and make those darker. And you need the darks to make the lights come out. You need the lights to make the darks come out. So you need contrast. You need something for the eye to see the difference in. The rods in your eye. So as I define the shadow area next to the highlight area, that's what makes the highlight. It's relative to its surrounding areas. This is natural light. I'm making pretty good progress here. Now let's go back into this highlight area. Now this highlight area here, notice there's this little darker area right here. So we're going to block that in with some a little bit darker gray. This is the foreground closest to the viewer. This is kind of like the middle ground right here, and then this is far off in the distance. There you go. I'm gonna go back in and do little circles in this area, in the shadow areas. And the purpose of this is to really build up that surface. Okay, I have a Q-tip here. You can use a little piece of fabric, a little rolled up fabric, or you can roll up some paper. I rolled up just some regular paper, and then you can use this to help blend in your piece here, just to soften it up a little bit. Don't overdo this. You don't want to get rid of all the details that you've created. I think this area needs to go darker. I don't like these little pieces of areas coming through here. You can switch to your H pencil or HB pencil. Just sharpen your tip of your pencil. It gives you more detail, allows you to do more detail. It's the time you spend on your drawing patiently, trying to follow along the different ways of drawing, but putting in the time and attention to observing the details, little things. It's gratifying because it shows that you care about your drawing. Again, if you rush your drawings, they look rushed. They look sometimes sloppy. So you want to have enough time, a good 2 hours, maybe 30 minutes per section to do it justice. So just that rhythm of marks, see that? Just the rhythm of those shadows. If you look up close, there's all these little details there that you can describe. Notice I'm holding the pencil from far away, and that allows me to be a little bit looser, more painterly, more. If I hold it like this, it's very tight, it's very specific. It's like, I can kind of bring in the looseness to the drawing, the texture. And again, going back and studying, where are my lights and the darks? Lights and darks. And if you're a photographer, videographer, animator, theater person, lights and darks, very important to understand those things. Where are your highlights? Where are your shadows? On all of your photos that you take with your cell phone, for photos that you take, there's this thing called a histogram. Look it up. Watch videos on it. It's very interesting. The distribution of lights and darks within your image, your scene. I'm really impressed with this class, how it's going so far. Keep up the work. You've come a long way, and you put in the time and effort into your drawings. Let's take a break there. Let's just not mindlessly just keep drawing. Let's just compare what's going on here. How's it look? So far so good? Are we doing a pretty good job of matching the values. I want to make this to be the lightest area right here. So therefore I'm going to make the areas all around this area just grayer. So to make this lighter, I make the surrounding areas darker. And no matter what, graphite pencils always have like a reflective quality. So it will never get coal black or super dark. For that, you want to use charcoal pencils. These are graphite. Look at that. So now notice how this area right here remains whiter. And now I'm going to use the eraser. What I want to do is I want to clean up some of these areas, and the eraser will allow me to draw the highlights, kind of like the dappled sunlight coming through. Just take your time. Now, look at this little light area coming in from the sunlight through the trees, the leaves. I want to try to, just with these little sweeping edges, see if I can match the texture of that. It's not bad. I think I'm going to stop there. You don't want to overdo that. So looking at this, then you see the highlights that I created. Then I can go back in and define the leaves just a little bit more. Just the rhythm of shadows in between. Give it the illusion of definition. So these little these hatched lines mimic the rhythm of nature, the grass. See that area right there? That needs to go a little bit darker. Do you see the correlation between the two? Okay. Now, you can continue on, and I want you to do all 4 sections. Let's open this up and say, what's the next section we want to do? So, we'll work on this section over here. You might want to try this too. Sometimes it's good to draw this upside down. So I'm going to be drawing this here. And what's the point of drawing this upside down, guys? Why would you do that? Well, by drawing upside down, we can actually draw more accurately, because our memory or our connection or association with this, we don't see it as trees, we see it as shapes and forms. Does that make sense? We don't see it as, it makes it less stressful for some people. So if I draw a light X here, corner to corner, that's the center right there, on X. There's the center right there. That's my center. That means that tree line follows the middle portion of that section right there. Now watch. I'm just gonna copy the undulations of these shapes, not trees, just shapes. Ooh, I'm way off there. That's need to start over here and there we go. There's a separate shape right there I can draw. Just block in some basic shapes. So one shape there. There's another shape right here. There's another shape right there. Zones for shapes, areas of shapes. And we got some subtle areas in the sky, the clouds. There, I have the basic structure for our next step, which is to try to draw. And when you start on this, look at the different values, the lighter grays versus the darker areas, okay? So I'm going to start off with drawing this tree line up on the top here, one piece at a time, these shapes first. And just blocking it, I'm just going to use a circular motion. So I want a separation between this area versus the lighter area. Again, patience, circles. What do you think, guys? Is it easier? Does it make sense to draw a complex scene piece by piece versus drawing it all at once? Some of you, I think, can handle the whole piece at once, but I think this is a great tool for those of you who are learning how to draw, to bite off enough, no more than you can chew. One piece at a time. It makes it so much less stressful, and you're just doing simple shapes first, and takes out some of the anxiety of drawing. It's more fun. And it's a process. It's not about perfection. It's about you, with each attempt that you're making, to improve a little bit at a time. And you're comparing yourself to yourself, your development. Don't compare yourself to other people. We can always learn, be humble, and learn from other people, from artists in the past, our classmates. Sometimes, just people you can just learn from them. You can learn from your subject. This piece here, this is my first time drawing this, and it's challenging, but it's very exciting to see when you see some progress. So I have a base layer there, and then I'm going to go in and then try to notice the shadow areas. See that large shadow area right there? Shadow shape, and just the rhythm of the contour of the trees. It's not completely round, it's kind of meanders, and see, I'm creating texture with these little circular motions, and each layer that we put on top of this, it gets darker and darker. I think for this scene right here, it's important to see where the zones of light areas right here. We want to stay away from those. So right now, by defining the darker areas, shadows, we'll leave those little highlight areas alone, because those are important. Those give the eye an area, like a clue to see where the top of the shapes are versus the darker areas. It's very blurry at first. It's very, see how we start off here? Start off with very general shapes and forms, and slowly we just made more detail, more detail. See that area right there? I'm going to make sure that there's that little piece right there. Let's go ahead and put that in that little triangle piece. And then here, from that little corner right there, we're going to go a little bit darker. take a break right here. Let's flip this around. I think it's a good start so far. So I'm going to continue on with this drawing. Now I want you to, on your drawing, with your landscape, or you can use mine that I put into the assignment page. You can choose one of the three, and I want you to try to mimic and put detail in as much as I have, and try to match the value. And you'll be uploading, if you're using your chosen landscape. And I would suggest no people in it, no buildings, no cars, just pure landscape, natural trees, and choose a subject that's challenging, but it's not like too crazy detailed. And I want you to upload your original image that you're basing off for your drawing. And the goal here is to match the value, match the proportion, get the general rhythm of textures from the original, and to demonstrate your skills that you've built up and you demonstrated up to this point in this class.